So when somebody in the world reacts to me in a way that is inappropriate, my intention, because I'm not a perfect person myself, my intention is to lean in with, gosh, I wonder what that person's going through, rather
Mm.
than how dare they, I'm offended, I'm going to react.
And how
And so
important do you,
understanding I am that I am. I have the potential of being that person. I have the potential
yes.
of losing my temper. I have the
Hmm.
potential of being a bit short with my answers because
Yeah,
I'm
we
going
all
through
do.
something personally. Do you know what I mean? So it's understanding that none of us are perfect,
Yeah.
and going in with the assumption that that person is doing their very best in the circumstances they are, rather the assumption that they're an a-hole.
Yes. Okay. Trauma touches all of us, whether we realize it or not. Without a safe space to process and heal, those wounds can shape how we show up in our lives and relationships. Our guest today, Cathy Domoney, knows this journey firsthand. Having faced her own challenges, she's devoted her life to guiding others towards healing and inner peace. In this episode, we dive deep into the realities of trauma and recovery and share practical, accessible tools you can use to support your mental health every day. Okay, thank you so much, Cathy Domoney, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you spending the time with us. Look, I just wanted to start off with a little bit about you and where this all came from. You've dedicated your life to helping people, helping them heal and find inner peace. So, where did this all start?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Lovely to see you.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a big, complex story. Really, it's a journey of my own personal healing.
Yeah, right.
So, from a very, very early age, I looked where I was in my birth family and thought, I don't think this is how it's supposed to be. Like, I think this is not it. But not having any comparison, I
Mm.
always felt like I didn't really belong there. I would sit quietly and observe everything going on around me. I didn't feel aligned with what was going on. And
Okay.
so from a very early age, I was trying to make sense of my place in the world. I mean, from
Mm.
age 5, I can clearly remember.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
And so
quite
from
profound for a 5-year-old.
Oh yeah, I remember thinking this is not the jam. I just thought
Yeah,
this is,
okay.
I don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. And it wasn't all bad for sure.
Hmm.
But there was certainly a very big thread going through where I just was not aligned to what was happening and the way that things were evolving.
Mm.
And so I struggled in myself for a long time. Very anxious child,
Mm.
separation issues. Just, I remember being very afraid most of the time.
Right, wow.
And I had very, very much older siblings. So that was a difficult thing to navigate.
Mm.
And so, really, I've always been searching for answers, searching for philosophy and teachers and counselors and, all of those sort of things, actively seeking that spiritual development,
Mm.
self-development. I've always been on that path from a very young age. And then, of course, that's led me to my profession, which I'm qualified in so many different modalities.
Yeah.
I'm still studying now, even with everything that I've got going on,
Hmm.
because I'm fascinated with human behavior, the
Mm.
human psyche, why we do what we do, the reasons behind that. And really, I'm very maternal as a person, and I'm very compassionate as a person. And so oftentimes I'm able to see beyond behaviors that have directly hurt me or my family,
Yeah, okay.
and see beyond that to the reasons why.
And I think just that in itself is quite profound. Often, if someone hurts us, the last thing we're doing is trying to understand why, what they're going through, because we are so focused on ourselves. So, how how did that come about? How did you go from, dealing with things that you were dealing with at the time to then reach in and try to understand them? That's for a child, even that's quite amazing.
Well, it developed over time. I mean, I'm not
Mm,
a perfect person. So there's been times in my life where I've needed forgiveness.
mm,
There's been times when I've made mistakes. There's been times when I didn't show up the way that I could have.
yeah, okay.
And I feel like my childhood was perfect because it made me incredibly self-reflective.
Mm,
And
okay.
so even though in some circumstances would have said, well, that response was justified, I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't in alignment with who I am at my core. And
Right.
therefore, I don't like that. I don't like the way I
Yes.
responded there. And
Yeah.
so it's that deep if not self-blame, because I don't think that serves anybody, but definitely that level of self-reflection where I thought, what was my part in this? How did I show up? How could I have shown up
Mm,
differently? And what was the experience of the other person on the other side?
mm,
It's
okay.
very easy to get into us versus them, right?
It is, yes. Yeah. And do you think that helped you heal?
Yes, it's not the easiest path though, because
Yeah.
you have to look at parts of yourself that you don't want to look at. Maybe you're half looking at, maybe you're pretending they're not there.
Mm,
So it does take a sort of dedication to be uncomfortable
yes, okay.
and possibly leaning into pain instead of pretending it's not there.
Yeah.
And looking at parts of yourself that you think, I need to work on that. I
Yeah.
need to become better in
Beautiful.
that area. And I
Yeah.
feel like the catalyst for that was having my kids' diagnoses because
Mm-hmm.
once they were diagnosed on the spectrum, or five of them,
Mm,
I just felt that as I was on that day, I wasn't the parent that they deserved.
right. Okay. And how many parents do you think go through the same?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parents out there that are really struggling and
Yeah.
really turning up every single day to try and be the best possible version of themselves they can possibly be for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're trying to do everything in their power to empower their children to become independent thinkers, to become ready for the world.
Yes.
And there's times where, with all of my qualifications and all of my professional experience, I have been on my knees in my wardrobe with the door shut, crying, thinking, I can't do this. This is too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I mean, being a mother of a neurodivergent child, I know exactly. And yeah, it is scary. It is scary to think, okay, what do I need to be? Because what you had planned, what you thought was going to be, suddenly is going to be different. And you don't prepare for that. You don't, I don't know how you would even. Yeah, and I think it is quite a scary thing for a lot of parents. And it was certainly scary when we went through something similar. And I know you do a lot of work in trauma and healing from trauma. So how how much does that play a role in healing and inner peace, dealing with trauma, whether it be adults or children?
Well, firstly, I believe we all have some level of trauma.
Mm,
I know it's a word that's bandied around these days, and I know it's probably overused and saturated. But what I have learned working with people who have significant trauma is that it's not the act, it's not the event itself, it's how we receive the event.
okay, because often I think when we talk about trauma, we think of something big, we think of something dramatic, something, and so like I would think, okay, well, no, I've had a good life. I haven't had trauma. I almost don't feel like things in my life would justify being seen as trauma because I haven't had a bad life. But I see what you're saying. It's not just what happens externally, it happens internally. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, two people can experience the exact same thing and
Mm,
experience it completely differently.
yeah.
And I've also worked with people who have had horror stories of
Mm,
lives, like multiple horrific events. And the event that they chose was being humiliated by their year five teacher as their most traumatic. So I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
mind blown,
Yeah.
because there's a catalogue of things you could have chosen, and that's what you chose. It
Yeah.
showed me that it wasn't the event, it's how we experience the event, it's how we are at the time of the event. And sometimes, like even in my marriage, our marriage is built on laughter.
Mm-hmm.
We joke a lot. There's a lot of serious issues running through our family, and we just decided to deal with it with humor. Sometimes people would say inappropriate humor. Not
Mm.
everybody will get it, I know, but we like to be lighthearted. We could go very heavy, we could go very dark, and we choose not to do that. It's an intentional choice. But there are times when my husband will be teasing me and making fun and all of the things that we normally do, like on
Mm-hmm.
an everyday basis. It's our love language, but I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm
Right.
feeling unwell. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling tired.
Mm.
And it's not hitting. And I can
Yeah.
have to say, I know the intention behind what you're saying is fun, but I have to inform you today, I'm not receiving it like that. And we
Mm.
need to kind of wind this up today. I'm not here for it today. And he's like, oh my
Right.
God, yeah, totally, totally. But on another day, I can take it, I can give it back, we're bantering. But on other occasions, I can't take that. So it depends on what we've been through, how we're feeling, what our exhaustion levels are,
Yeah.
all of those things, how vulnerable we're feeling, that we can experience event that other people could go, that's really mild. Like, I don't know what you're
Mm.
worried about.
Mm-hmm.
But to us, it's like, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, we've been carrying
Yes.
so long for so much for so long, because our nervous systems are fried, because we've been in fight, flight, freeze, fawn for such a long time, that this one event just completely dismantled everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So understanding what trauma is, understanding that most people are going through life right now heightened.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're dealing with high levels of stress, high levels of anxiety, high levels of pressure. They're trying to hold so much. They're trying to hold their relationships together, their families together, their professional lives together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody in the world reacts to me in a way that is inappropriate, my intention, because I'm not a perfect person myself,
Mm.
my intention is to lean in with, gosh, I wonder what that person's going through, rather
Mm.
than how dare they, I'm offended, I'm going to react.
Yes. Okay. And how
And so
important do you?
understanding I am that I am. I have the potential of being that person. I have the potential
Yes.
of losing my temper. I have the
Mm-hmm.
potential of being a bit short with my answers because
Yeah,
I'm
we
going
all
through
do.
something personally. And
Yep.
do you know what I mean? So it's understanding that none of us are perfect,
Yeah.
and going in with the assumption that that person is doing their very best in the circumstances they are, rather the assumption that they're an a-hole.
Yes. Okay. And how important do you think it is for us to, I guess, give ourselves permission to not be perfect and to perhaps admit that we are carrying trauma? I know that sometimes it's easier just to say, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I can keep going. And especially when you've got a family, you've got to hold everybody up. You've got to keep everybody going. So it's quite vulnerable to be vulnerable. You don't want to have cracks because so much can slip through if there are cracks, so but then that lends us on the other side where we're not dealing with our own trauma. We're not dealing with the feelings that we have because we're so busy trying to keep it all together, trying to keep everybody else up.
What is the intention? Because for me, I was scared of trauma, even the word trauma. So I've
Yeah.
been coaching for many, many years. And if somebody came to me with some kind of trauma, duty of care, I would say, I'm not qualified to deal with this. I'm going to connect you with somebody who is qualified.
Okay.
Duty of care, like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to connect you with the right person. I don't want to do harm here by not knowing what I'm doing. So
Yes.
for
Okay.
years and years and years, I referred people on. Okay. But then once I had the diagnoses of my kids, and I realized I didn't want my stuff, my baggage, filtering down through my parenting so that they had to carry it as well.
Yeah.
That was enough of an intention for me to start learning about it, start
Mm.
leaning in with curiosity, clearing up my own stuff, and
Yeah.
then getting qualified to help other people do the same. So
Hmm.
my why was bigger than my fear.
Right. Okay. Amazing. So how do we then create a environment where people can talk about their emotional stress or their trauma and start to share that? What are some of the things that we can do just to, I guess, just to break down that barrier where we say, no, 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 we're fine, or there's trauma. There seems like such a big difference to us carrying ourselves as we're fine and no, where there is trauma. I mean, but there's also a lot in between. So then how do we create the space where we actually start to, I don't want to say dig some of that up, but maybe we do need to, because maybe we need to heal. So what are some of the things that we can do to start encouraging that?
Well, I think having uncomfortable, open conversations respectfully.
Yeah, okay.
But here's the thing, like, we don't want to go through our lives bleeding over everybody. So we
Thank
don't
God.
want to go, bleeding and vomiting our trauma over everybody, right?
Yes.
So it's a way that we communicate it in a way that we can increase understanding and context, but also maintain the respect of the boundaries in that relationship. So if I'm going to bleed over everybody, I'm going to go and pay somebody.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm going to go, hey, I need expert help here. This is a place where I can fully bleed trauma everywhere. And I know that I'm paying you, you're qualified, you're going to help me with it, right? I'm not going to go and do that to my boss. I'm not going to go and do that to my colleague. I'm not going to go and do that because it's not appropriate. Like, it's not for their mess to clear up. But I can communicate. I'm going through something really big right now. It's making me feel vulnerable. If I come across sometimes as slightly quiet or maybe a little bit withdrawn, I want you to know it's not about you. It's because I'm processing some big stuff right now.
Yeah.
I'd really appreciate your patience.
Okay.
So we can communicate where we are without dragging everybody down into the hole with us, right?
Yeah, okay. And how about with our children, encouraging them? Do you sort of encourage them to do the same thing, or are you? I mean, I suppose you probably are their paid person, really, aren't they?
Unpaid.
Yeah,
unpaid for
unpaid.
everything. Everything I do for them is unpaid labor. But yeah, I mean, look, with the kids, we always have very, very honest conversations.
Yeah.
And my husband and I have revealed that we ourselves have not always been perfect. We're still not perfect, but we've not always made perfect decisions. We've not always shown up the best that we can. We've shared our vulnerable moments with our kids.
Yeah.
One of the characters on TV that I really dislike the most, not the actress, but the character that she portrays, is Modern Family, Claire Dunphy.
Yes, okay.
Now, the thing that really triggers me about Claire Dunphy is that she really, really wants the best for her kids.
Yes.
She doesn't want them to make the mistakes that she made.
Yeah.
So she pretends that she never made any, and she holds her kids to a higher standard than what she held for herself.
Yeah, and how many of us do that too? Or at least don't share the mistakes that we have. We feel like we and I think maybe that comes down from generations.
And this is what happened. When they're old enough to receive it, like, I'm not telling my young ones that they're not ready to receive it, but some of the hardest times in my life and some things I have shame around, I have shared with my kids.
Yeah, amazing.
So that they can see I'm human. I've made the mistakes. The reason that I'm sharing the mistake with them is to go, hey, kid, do better than I did.
Yeah. And I think it's honest. And it also you're giving them the power as well. You're giving them the ability to, and trusting them with that knowledge to say, okay, hey, my mum is trusting me with this. She's being vulnerable with me. And I think that can maybe flow on.
But, I'm sharing it from a healed place.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So I experienced time of trauma in my life, as everybody has. And there have been some significant events that have affected me, but I haven't shared them from a place of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sharing them from a place of trauma. I'm sharing them from a place of having worked through it and having been healed. So I'm sharing it as a learning piece, not as I'm dragging you into my drama piece, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting my kids to take on any emotional burden from that, because I'm okay.
Yes.
I've worked through it. I've come through the other side. I'm okay with it now. I've had my trauma healed. I'm simply using it for them as data to move forward with some of the data that I have have generated, so they can go and make better informed decisions and not repeat my mistakes because of what I did, not because of what I pretended not to do.
Yes. Okay. Yep. And with the neurodiversity and the increase of neurodiversity, this adds another level that I think a lot of us are not trained in or not used to, adds another level of complexity. So in terms of mental health and neurodiversity, what are some of the challenges that you've come across, and even perhaps some of the wins as well? And do you see things changing?
That's a complex, loaded question.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I put three in one.
um, That's okay. But I feel like our journey is very personal to us. So I could never speak on behalf of neurodiversity. I could never speak on behalf of any of that because everybody's experience is individual and different. I will say from our journey, which started 22 years ago, so things were very different then.
Yeah.
I have felt quite lonely on my parenting journey because these kinds of conditions were not really understood. They were
Yes.
often mislabeled, misunderstood, which causes a divide. It doesn't build connection. And so I feel like for us as a family, we've had to be quite vulnerable at the same time as being ridiculously strong.
Right.
Because, my kids have been rejected by institutions who said that they would help them and nurture them. They have been hospitalized through bullying. They have been bullied by people in positions of power over the
Right.
years. And so we've had to go to the Human Rights Commission, we've had to go to the Education Board. But also it's really hard to balance the firm stand and the boundaries and the advocacy with trying to build bridges of getting people to understand and
Yeah.
step towards you rather than step away from you. It's a really hard line that we've traveled. And I said I can speak from our personal experience.
Yeah.
I know that in the early days, and you'll have known this personally, that when my daughter started kindy, I wrote all of the parents a letter explaining who my daughter was with a little picture and trying to allow people to be informed so that if they saw her having a sensory meltdown or they saw her using loud noises instead of language, that they could go, oh, that's the way she expresses joy, rather than that kid's really loud, shut them up. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I've tried to be open and as vulnerable as possible whilst also trying to protect my kids.
Yes.
Because the vulnerability of opening up gives the option of they either embrace you and they try to understand and they step forward with curiosity with a intention of building connection, or they use it as a label and then you've given your kid a label to live with. Do you know what I mean? So it's very difficult, complex, very personal journey through that. And so I can only speak, as I said, on behalf of us. I do feel that people are more open. I feel that people want to build bridges. I feel like there's often a gap because people are so scared of doing or saying the wrong thing and are offending that they therefore keep their distance, which I totally understand. But it's also quite lonely when they do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen both. I've seen, when kids have been labeled and then and bullied because they're labeled, and then I've also seen them when they've been when they've it's done the opposite.
I wanted to explain, to build a bridge and have that knowledge to hopefully promote understanding and compassion, but wasn't sure how it was going to be received. And I had a lot of anxiety and fear. And am I representing her in the right way? Because I don't want to share things that she doesn't want to share, but I also want people to understand her.
Yeah. I think I think doing that, you also open up the opportunity for parents to have those conversations with their children as well. And I still, I still have those conversations. Like, my daughter will, explain some things that happened that day. And I know that child is neurodiverse. I won't say to my child, oh, perhaps that's because they have autism, but I say, oh, look, their brain works differently. So we have those discussions, and without, like, I don't want to take on the responsibility of naming that child either, because it's not my place. And kids talk and whatever. So, but it does open up that conversation to say, okay, well, I we don't say disability, we just say different abilities. And one of the things that I love about where we are at in time is that we are recognizing those different abilities as well. And I know you've got some incredibly talented children, and the abilities that neurodiversity can bring is just beautiful, and it is fascinating. And I mean, my boy can quote, you ask him any football game from last year, round 17, who won between, he'll tell you the score. He can probably tell you the quarter time, halftime score. I mean, his memory recall is just incredible. For things that, I've got to remind him to brush his teeth, but football stats, he can remember absolutely anything.
Kids.
And I love that. It's fascinating. It is so fascinating. I mean, I can't do that. I can't, the way he deals with numbers, I can't do that, So I love that now society is starting to recognize that there are some really incredible, amazing abilities. And I don't like calling it a disability, and I know that I'm only speaking on behalf of myself and my family, because I know that there are different levels, and we don't want to. The last thing I want to do is say, "Hey, look, it's not a disability," because for many people it is. For us, I think the word just different abilities is a better option for a better term for what we have, because he's. Yeah, and you would see it too. I mean, I've seen some of the talent that exists in your family. I mean, I don't know how many neurotypical people can, study the way yours do or produce art the way yours do.
But here's the thing, though, with all of that, my greatest wish for them is to be happy and to be loved.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, I'm very proud of them for their academic achievements for sure. But I'm more contented as a mother that the oldest two have found amazing loves.
Yeah. Okay. One of the projects you're working on at the moment is called the Backyard Peace Project. So tell us a little bit about that and how you came to create this project.
Well, it was a combination of different things, really. So working one-to-one, I'm pretty high ticket. So I work with leaders, CEOs, I've worked with multimillionaires, and dissolving their trauma that's holding them back from some level of success in any area of their life. And so that was great. And I felt really fantastic about impacting these leaders and, CEOs, business owners, because that ripples down to their teams, right? So I'm actually affecting a lot more people because they're leading from this beautiful healed place. But then I was also seeing a lot of people, some of which I was able to see pro bono because of the high ticket, who were in desperate need of good quality support and didn't have any finances to cover that. And I think a lot of people are in that boat right now. Absolutely. And so for me, I wanted to build a community where we had all of these amazing experts that were all doing things separate from each other. So I wanted to bring them all together and connect them, right? Because together we're so much stronger. Yeah. So I wanted to build a community where the experts could come together and where people could come for $12 a week. That's all it is, $12 a week for the whole family. That's not individual, that's for the whole family. To come and have that level of exploration with people who've been handpicked. So you're going to get good quality advice, qualified advice, professional advice. And there's all sorts of resources and courses and sessions and masterclasses. And it's just a beautiful place to go and start healing. But accessible, really accessible, which is what I wanted, because a lot of the time people who are in crisis just haven't got the money to go and pay me, a one-to-one high ticket coach. They haven't got the money to pay me. But I wanted more impact. I wanted more legacy, which is why I've built this so that we can build this gorgeous community who believes in the mission, right? The Backyard Peace Project, the tagline is world peace begins in our own backyards. It actually begins with our own personal healing, the healing of our families, our communities, and then the world. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't belong to somebody else. It belongs to us. The responsibility is with us. And I just thought, well, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? And it's been beautiful. The people that we've attracted to the project is phenomenal. The quality of people. We've actually got our first book in production right now. That book is life-changing. Like every time I read a chapter, I cry. It's stories of real, raw vulnerability that need to be told. Why? Because people who are going through really, really hard times right now need to hear from other people who have survived them.
Yes. And what I love about this is not just that it's accessible sort of financially, but you can, if we were to go to someone, if I was to go see someone, I'd probably be quite restricted to who's around me or who I could find. But what I love about this is you have so many experts covering so many different things. So they might go in there thinking, okay, well, I can focus on this part of myself, but hey, not even, come across something else and say, hey, look, I can focus on this part too. So how many experts do you have in there at the moment?
Nearly 70.
Oh, amazing. Okay. 70 experts. Okay. And so if someone were to sign up for the Backyard Peace Project, what would they experience?
Well, we do 3 days for free. So you can go in at no risk and just have a little poke around, have a look. We do weekly coaching. We do monthly summits. There's recorded sessions, masterclasses, and courses. And what I love about that is someone could wake up at 3 a.m. having an anxiety meltdown, and they could jump into the Backyard Peace Project and do a tapping session in real time.
Oh, amazing.
Because it's recorded, right? So you can choose the topic and you can tap through this session with this amazing leader who has a movie out on tapping, who has multiple books out on tapping. This is an expert who trains other people to do EFT. And you can go along and do this tapping session in real time. And you can do it, as you say, at your convenience, because it's a virtual community. And so what I love about that as a busy mum myself is being able to pick and choose the time that I can do things,
Yeah,
so we
absolutely.
do have live coaching every week, but it's always recorded. It's always put into the community. And we've actually started publishing that now as well to the public, because we've got a team full of people who are just dedicated to serving others. And that's such a beautiful place to be. It's so high vibe.
Yeah.
And it's very rare to have all these people in integrity, waiting to shift global consciousness, waiting to help people to heal and become the best versions of themselves possible, so that they can parent from a beautiful, clean place, so they can lead from a beautiful, clean place. And not everybody's been successful in getting into the Backyard Peace Project as an expert. Everyone has been handpicked by me. Everybody is interviewed by me, making sure that everybody in there is a really high integrity and is really believing in that bigger mission.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And if people want to follow your work or get onto the Backyard Peace Project, where can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and also the website, thebackyardpeaceproject.com. You can find out more, and you can sign up, and you can do the 3 days for free. We've got a massive event coming up in October, so keep your eyes open for that, because we're going to do a massive healing event in October around wealth.
Okay.
So that's really, really cool. So wealth with health, wealth with finance, wealth with spirituality, wealth with relationships. So it's a beautiful topic. And I feel like that's what everybody needs right now, is to be scooped up, to be loved, and to be nurtured.
Yeah, we all need a bit of a cuddle, don't we?
Yeah, I haven't got my mug here. Normally I've got a big pink mug that says I need a hug.
Yeah.
I take it into all my meetings. I'm always up for a hug.
Good for you. Look, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And look, thank you for all the work you're doing. I think the Backyard Peace Project is just a fantastic initiative. And I think everybody should get behind it. Go check it out. And yeah, thank you so much, Cathy Domoney, and all the best.
Thanks so much, Cathy.
Just a reminder, guys, that we do have our Goodnessly app. So if you are looking at supporting your health and you're wanting to understand what is in the food that you eat, things like additives, sugar, if you're interested in perhaps organic ingredients, if any of these sort of align with your values, then please download our app. You can create a free account and it'll make your shopping and clean eating a lot easier. Thanks, guys.